What's up, guys? Tuki here, back again with some more NHL 16 and my Nations United GM Mode series. And in this episode, we go through the offseason and set our team up for Season 7. Now, before getting into it, I went over to the updates. Alex Ovechkin retired, so that's unfortunate. But Frederik Andersen, a goalie who, of course, has been eligible for us, he's probably been really our best option throughout the series. The price has just been really high. And, of course, from the start of the series, we left him on Toronto to kind of keep some realism in there, despite the fact that this isn't, the most realistic series to begin with. Bottom line, what I'm saying, he has 1 year left on his deal, so he should be a free agent coming up. If he's not, I might trade for him anyway. I don't know. That remains to be seen. But what we need to check right now as we get into the draft, we need to see if there's anybody eligible inside the top 5 for us to get. And, of course, if there is, we'll use Anze Kopitar to trade up and get him. And unfortunately, there isn't. There is a Ukrainian goalie inside the top 10, Yuri Sharov, who might be decent. I mean, we do have some decent goalies. We could certainly use him, or we could certainly use Kopitar to get him. But aside from that, we don't have anybody available. Marchenko, unfortunately, is not eligible. My God, couldn't we use him right about now? With defense still clearly being our weakest point. We have Lundin, who I believe is Austrian, and he is a power forward. We have David from Denmark, and that is kind of it for the first round. We have Brashear. So certainly some names that I'll keep my eye on, but I'm not sure if we're going to trade up for Kopitar at the moment. I may just hold on to Kopitar, and then if there's somebody that we can really get and use, that's when we'll trade him after the draft. So let's sim up here to our first pick, and we will take it from there. I am going to have to actually, and excuse the background noise, we're going old school. Pad and paper, man, to keep track of these names, just to make sure, because that is pretty much the only way to do it. So Lundin was available. He's medium top 9 from the San Jose Sharks. Not the best option, but somebody we could certainly look at. He was available, wasn't he? Austrian, I think. I really should have wrote this. Normally I write this down before. Sharov ends up being medium starter potential in Montreal, so that's disappointing, especially when the goalie directly after him was elite potential. But that's those are the type of breaks I've come to expect in this series. Marchenko's top 4, he would have been great, and it was actually a pretty decent class inside the top 5. I'm not forgetting anybody, am I? I don't think I am. I think that was it. And if I'm forgetting somebody already, I'm sure you guys will let me know down in the comments. But let's take a look here, see who we have available. We have the 16th overall pick. Not exactly out of the question to draft this man, Marty David. 2 first names from Denmark. We don't exactly have him scouted, but he is pretty much our only option. So let's take him and see what happens. And hey, he's medium top 6. That's actually a pretty damn good break for us. Now finishing up the first round, and this is probably the only round I will show you guys, we took Gannon, who was the highest rated defenseman available that we had to us, and of course that is the big problem with the series as Dallas makes their pick. So we have Gannon, of course not the ideal situation. We move a little bit forward. Vancouver takes a player that we actually had available to us, the center Brashear, so we end up taking the Ukrainian Medvedov, and he ends up being low bottom 6, so some pretty bad luck in this round, some decent luck with our first pick. So there you have it, guys. There is the full list. A lot of defensemen taken, a lot of them top 6 and 7T potential. No, that's not a typo. At the end, we actually drafted 2 Germans, one named Bednars, the other Bednar, and actually Bentley, who was our last pick in the 6th round, ended up being medium top 9, so that was a bit of a steal. But as always, just a ton of picks for us, and that will continue to be the trend. Unfortunately, yet again, no great foreign defensemen entering the league for us to be able to take advantage of. So looking forward now as we move on to the re-sign phase. Obviously, we have some work to do. The goal is still to hope that Frederik Andersen will be available. And then, of course, having Merz Likens as the backup would probably be a good way to go. Burmistrov needs a new deal. I am going to be cheap as hell, and I'll try to lock him up for as long term as absolutely possible. We'll give him 8 years at $3 million. Again, this is not the most realistic series you will ever see, but we are doing what we have to do to at least try to remain competitive, despite the fact that we are handicapping ourselves in a great way. But as you can see, just a ton of players drafted, but none of these defensemen are really elite. We will be taking a look at Lundin, who went to San Jose. I believe it was a right wing. Sharaf, the goalie that went to Montreal. Vancouver got Brashear, a center. Chicago with a handful of players, a right wing named Caffrey, and a defenseman, I believe, named Bishop. I'm not sure, actually. We'll be taking a look at some other guys that went elsewhere from this draft. And actually, I just realized our contract total could be a bit of a problem. Devin McIntyre needs a new deal. Obviously, he is like the gem of our future once we trade away Kopitar, which will still probably be the case. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we'll hold on to him for another year. He still has really good trade value, but obviously he's still a 91 overall and could still be a really good asset to us on that top line. Playing someone like McIntyre, who's still listed, as you just saw, as a third line player. Whether or not you put much stock into the player roles, I don't know. I kind of bounce back and forth between caring about those and whether or not they actually do anything. It's tough to say. It is definitely deflating right now, though, to know that, yet again, once again, there wasn't that great defenseman that we could trade Kopitar for in the draft. But right now, let's go ahead and move on to free agency. You know what? I'll just stay here live. Why not? We'll see if Anderson's available. We'll see if someone like Bjorkstrand's available. Again, I have to recognize them off of name value. And, of course, if they're a created person, or not necessarily a created person, but somebody who has been randomly generated into the game, I have no way of telling if they are a foreign player or not, or at least a player eligible to us. And none of these players are at the moment, from what I can tell. I don't know if Stillman is or not, and again, I have no way to check. So we're just going to have to hope that Frederik Andersen's here to make my day, please. And he is. Thank you, God. Something goes our way for once. And let's see, Chicago wants him. So Chicago wants him. I'm willing to give him like the most ridiculous contract because we need him. I'm offering 5 at 7.5, and we just have to hope that he accepts it. Like, that is a drastic overpayment, much more of, much more term, much more, money just in general than I would normally hand out to a goalie like that. But we absolutely need him. We need an improvement in goaltending after what we just saw in the postseason and towards the end of the season. Whereas Likens is definitely more of a backup than a starter. We knew that obviously, Gudlevskis wasn't going to work out. So it's just been, you son of a bitch. I'm trading for him. I don't even care. We'll just trade for him. Now, is this a lot to give up? Of course it is. Like, this is a drastic overpayment, but at this point I am grasping for any straw that I possibly can to turn this team into a winner. It's a first and a third round pick way down the line, along with Sorensen and Jeff Pilofs, which clears up a couple of contract spots, and we end up getting Freddie Andersen. So somehow we've managed to get this trade to work. We send 5 players with AHL potential. Medvinov, unfortunately, just a recent draft pick of ours, who isn't going to pan out. But we send them to Chicago for Bishop, who is a top 6 potential defenseman, and Caffrey, who has elite potential but low trade value. So we'll see if that pans out. We've also made this trade. It is Chapman, who had backup goalie potential, and a ton of defensemen with AHL potential, to Montreal for the goaltender Sharaf from the last draft. Another minor trade, it is 2 AHL potential prospects to Philadelphia for their 3rd and 4th round picks this year. Next up, it is Willie Tucker to New Jersey for their 2nd round pick this year. We also swapped 7th round picks. For some reason, that helped the trade go through, but whatever, I'm not complaining. It is done. 2 more goalies are on their way out. I'm not sure how this is going to affect the team moving forward. It sucks to see these 2 guys go, but they just weren't getting it done, despite what Geisberger did for us in the first round against the Blues. He and Weber are now Florida Panthers for a handful of draft picks. Next up, in an effort to clear up some contract spots, it is the defenseman Reese and the center Klotz being sent to Chicago for a handful of draft picks. Some very familiar names are on their way out, but we need to do this to clear up some contract spots down in Iowa so that some players can get some actual playing time. It is Thurkauf, Bukarts, Sinshalapfor, and Trigg to the Florida Panthers for a handful of draft picks. Andronov, Shaweri, and Zhamnov are also heading out. They're going to Philadelphia for a handful of draft picks. And the last man to go, at least for now, is Malkin to Toronto for a 3rd and a 5th round pick. So once again, after cycling out everybody we don't need, that leaves us with the team that we currently have now. The NHL, obviously very, very similar to what we've had for the past few seasons. The top 9, exactly the same. Kopitar, unfortunately, has fallen an overall point. That's my question to you guys. Do we hold on to him until the draft once again in hopes that there is somebody there that we can use him, that we can trade Kopitar for to get that draft pick, or do we just get rid of him right now and hope we get lucky in terms of getting a 1st round pick? Kasparaitis is the newest player on the roster, an 81 overall. He is with Bowles and Russell Sexton on the 4th line. Defensively, it is Mueller, Yossi, Fontana, Burmistrov, Spiza with Josh McKee, who of course has made the roster this time out. And the goaltending, Anderson and Merzlikins, our strongest duo to date. The question is, can they perform to their overall levels? Anderson a starting goalie, Merzlikins a backup goalie. Down in the AHL, I'm expecting a terrible season for the Iowa Wild, but we do have some very solid prospects. Andy Caffrey is elite, Harvey Savage, and Marty David, top 6. We also have another top 6 guy in Larson. He is the last one. The rest, though, are all top 9, so we do have some decent guys there. And obviously, as far as potential call-ups go in case of injury, Damian Riot is the main guy there, although losing him on waivers would kind of suck. The goaltending, the defense is Kelly Lyles, Rainier Gerber. We have Alexei Volchenko with Stepan Fakovsky and Ralph Haist with Jason Monador. Desperately need this game to start giving us some defensive prospects. Unfortunately, the menu has glitched, so let's just have a nice chat. How you doing? Oh, wait, never mind. We got it to go. See? Quick and easy. The goaltending is Craig Ruchin, our elite potential goalie, and Yuri Sharov, who we, of course, just acquired from Montreal. We want these two to get as much playing time as possible, which is why Weber, Geisberger are gone at this point. Tough pill to swallow, but it should work out with Craig Ruchin getting the start down in Iowa. So that is the roster. This is the team. Am I expecting a good season? No. But I wasn't last year, and we managed to win a playoff series. So who knows what's going to happen here in the next episode. And again, I'll remind you, there isn't anybody we can go out and acquire that's better defensively. This is it. This is pretty much best case scenario for us, as sad as that is. But if you have any suggestions on what we should do, let me know down in the comments below. And yeah, that'll pretty much do it for this one. So guys, as always, if you have enjoyed, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one.